everyone, and welcome to Chef AJ Live. I'm your host, Chef AJ, and this is where I introduce you to amazing people like you who are doing great things in the world that I think you should know about. My guest today is Dr. Katz, and she is the founder of Cuisinicity, where nutritious and delicious intersect. She's going to be making 3 amazing, healthy, and delicious recipes, including the best vegan burgers and homemade buns. And I hope I pronounced this correctly. It's a baked chocolate custard dessert called chocolate pâte au crème. Please welcome to the show, Dr. Katz. It's so nice to finally meet you.
Oh, thank you. I am so honored to be on your show. I love being here with you.
Well, thank you. I can't wait to not only see all your recipes, but hear your story. In case people don't know, you are the wife of Dr. David Katz, who has done so much work and wonderful contribution to the field of lifestyle medicine. He's been on the show, but you are the one that makes the recipes delicious.
I am. And, it's interesting because it's a funny story. When we met, we were both at Yale. He was doing his preventive medicine residency, and I was a postdoc at Yale. I'm a neuroscientist by training. And we fell in love. And he was as passionate back then as he is today about health and nutrition as I am about delicious French foodie. I was born in Algeria and raised in the south of France. So on either side of the Mediterranean, and food is one of those things that you just love, that is luscious. And we weren't thinking about nutrition nor health. It was just delicious. So when we fell in love and married and had 5 children, really nutritious and delicious had to come together. And after my 4th child, Natalia, who is filming today, I decided to stay at home. And so began my experimentation with recipes and, really tweaking my recipes so that I would push on the nutrition side and always testing the outcome, kind of like I would do in a laboratory, but except in my kitchen, the heart of our home. And that's how Cuisinicity was born. And we have, again, this spans 30 years of our lives. And it's a lot of food, a lot of love, and a lot of loving food that loves us back. That's the tag of my website.
Right. Well, both you and your husband look amazing. So you must be doing something right.
Thank you. Thank you.
Have you written a book?
No, I haven't, because, we've written books together, my husband and I, but I never did a Cuisinicity recipe book. I just had them all there for everybody for free. And, really, Cuisinicity was for my children originally and for David's patients who were all asking, how does the Katz family do it? And my children, as they grew up, I wanted them to be able to just, remember that recipe you did? So I never thought of it as a professional thing of mine. It's just a heart, from my heart. And so I never wrote a book.
Well, you certainly could. You have enough recipes, and I think people
sure do.
In their hand.
I sure do. Interestingly, when I started, it wasn't vegan. We never ate meat, red meat, no pork, no. But there was poultry and there was seafood. And over the years, it became so important, both ethically and also for the environment, that it shouldn't be just loving food that loves you back. It should be love the food that loves you and your planet back. So over, I would say, the last 6-7 years, I have really done more and more vegan recipes. And those are the ones that I would want to publish now. Not that I didn't love my old recipes, but I really want to push especially the new generation to go more plant-based. So yeah, I have a lot of recipes.
Well, I think it's time for a book.
Okay.
Oh, so, what you're making sounds amazing, because burgers are so great, because I love food that you can batch cook and then freeze and then have food for a long time.
Yes. And not only that, that was one of my hardest recipe, I think, to create, because a burger should be a burger you sink your teeth into. And I didn't want a bean patty, there's nothing wrong with bean patty, but I didn't want a bean patty. I didn't want something mushy. I didn't want something complicated that was clearly healthy, lots of vegetables. I wanted it nutritious, healthy, but delicious, something that you really felt was a burger. And I achieved it. I have to say I achieved it. So I'd love to show it to you today.
Yes, please go right ahead.
Okay, so as I was saying, it's important that a burger be chewy, think not mushy. And so there are three components to my vegan burger. And since then, I have created two other variations that I can talk to you about. But the base for the chewiness is always a whole grain. In this case, it's a beautiful ancient Mediterranean grain that's farro or spelt, it's called. And it's a beautiful, I cook it whole. In fact, this is how, when I cook it, it becomes this beautiful, chewy kind of a grain. And it imparts that chewiness and imparts the nutrition. It's full of fiber, protein, minerals, vitamins. It's just beautiful. So I use that for the chewiness. Then for the meatiness, and my children laugh at me because I put lentils in everything. Lentils are my idols, and black lentils especially. I use canned lentils, but you can cook your own, or if you don't find black lentils, you can do brown lentils. It's not a problem. But what I love about lentils is that, yes, the nutrition is absolutely impeccable. But in this case, they give that beautiful dark color that you want in a burger. You don't want a light burger. You want it like that. And it gives it a meatiness that, coupled with the cremini mushrooms, which I'm going to saute. In fact, I should get started on that. Tell me my thing is not going to continue to click the whole time. Oh, I hope not. Well, if it does, please bear with me. It will stop. So in order for, maybe I'll use this one. It's going to keep doing that. Just a second.
That's
Did
okay.
you do that? Let me just do it.
Usually mine does that when it's not when it's not lit.
I know, but let me try. Sorry about that.
Okay.
And it's doing it again. Okay. So we'll just bear with it. It's going to stop. So I have to have it really, really, really hot because yay! So I have to have it really, really hot because I'm not going to use any oil in this recipe. And the way that the heat from the pan repels the whatever vegetable I put on it, so it cooks without needing oil, and it gives it that wonderful golden color. So let me have it nice and hot while I keep talking. So that's the meatiness, that umami-ness that you need in a burger is coming from my cremini mushrooms and my pureed lentils. Those I puree because I don't want you to know there are lentils in there. I love lentils, and in fact, you'll see it in my crème au chocolat. It's shocking, but they're wonderful. I do them pureed because I don't want you to know they're there. They are so humble. I call them humble. They're my friends. They're humble because they just impart their creaminess. They impart their rich nutrition, but they are just in the background. You don't know they're there. And then the binding, if it's a veggie burger, people put cheese, and if it's all eggs, of course, this is a vegan burger, so I could do no such thing. So I put a little mustard, a little unsalted tomato paste, some crushed oats, a little salt, and a little garlic powder and onion powder. So as this thing is heating up, you're going to hear shh, and it's almost grating to the teeth, but it's okay because then it's going to give out its liquid, and that's all you need. While it's happening, let me start with what I need to do. The pureed lentils. What would I do if I didn't have pureed lentils? And remember what I said about lentils and how my kids make fun of me, because you are going to see them in my crème au chocolat, and you have to taste it. Because you really don't know they're there.
What's interesting is your husband often says there's a difference between lentils and lollipops.
Yes. Right there. People talk about carbs. Hello, lentils are carbs, so are lollipops. They're very different. So let's not judge too much. Okay, so this is oats. Again, beautiful fiber. Then there is an salted tomato paste. I think I have, and the recipe is on the website, so no worries. But I do 2 tablespoons. 2 teaspoons, I'm sorry, 2 teaspoons. And I do a little Dijon mustard, about a half a teaspoon. And then 1 teaspoon onion powder, 1 teaspoon. Do I have the plant in front of my eyes? A little, okay. 1 teaspoon garlic powder. Did I say? Yeah, garlic powder. And half a teaspoon salt. That's all you need. This makes 4 big patties, but you can even make 6 little patties. So you start mixing this. Let's see. Nice beans. And you see, it's not going to stick. Doesn't need oil. It just already, it smells so good. And you notice this is 3 cups when it's raw, very finely cut mushrooms. But when it's cooked, it ends up being about 3/4 of a cup. It's perfect. So I wanted them to be very tender, and because you don't want to, again, you don't want to crunch into a mushroom. You just want them to impart their flavor, their umami flavor, which is just lovely when it's has gotten rid of all that water. Okay, so I'm going to keep on doing this. This is so simple, it's almost ridiculous, but creating it was not so simple, because I can't tell you how many attempts I made to get to where I wanted to. But this recipe, I think I created, I don't know, 8 years ago. I don't remember, but it's really, it has lived and been one of my most popular vegan burger recipe in my website. All over the world, actually. I've presented it in many, many places. Okay, so this is about ready. And look at that. See, they're starting to be golden a little bit. A little bit more. And then, only then, I'm going to add the farro. Remember, the farro is cooked, but I don't grind it because I do want that nutty chewiness that this will impart. So, here it is.
Someone once said to me that the foundation of French cooking is an onion. Do you agree?
That I guess you could say that. I would say wine, but I don't know. Yes, you do use onion a lot, especially in southern France. There's a lot of wonderful onion. In fact, I can even start telling you about my variations on this theme, because one of my vegan burgers is a caramelized onion and walnut burger. Need I say more? What it is instead of, my lentils are always a given. They must be in this burger. My oats also, and my seasonings. What changes can be the whole grain I put in it. If you are gluten-free, I love to use black rice. Have you heard of forbidden rice?
I love black rice. I was thinking oat groats might be good in there for people that couldn't have farro.
That would be lovely. I haven't tried that. I've tried black rice, red rice, and I like the black rice because it makes it really dark and it really stays chewy and it's wonderful. It's I love it. When you cook it, even though it's black, it becomes purple. The water becomes purple. It's just beautiful. So there's that. And instead of my Canadian mushrooms, I use caramelized onions, and because they're not enough of a structure, I use some walnuts. Again, absolutely beautiful nutrition. And there's another one that's eggplant and red rice instead of that. And again, it's a variation on the same theme. The lentils stay. They are my loyal friends. So I do this, and now I am going to put this. And this is where my background comes rushing. I have to do this with my hands. In fact, it's very satisfying because you'll see. It becomes a beautiful patty. It feels, when in the days when I used to do turkey burgers, the feeling was very much the same as this texture, but it was turkey. And now we no longer do it with turkey. Look at this. So there it is. It's a beautiful. So I'm gonna make this into 4 patties. You can make them into bigger or smaller patties, but look at this. It's just, you can see. Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah, they're so hardy.
Right? They're so hardy, and you'll see they're going to stay intact. I'm going to cook them now. And let's hope that my thing doesn't make that noise again. Let me quickly wash my hands briefly while I heat this up. And I'll tell you about this grill pan. I didn't do that. Good.
So do you do everything from scratch, or do you ever use some of the equipment that I love, like the Instant Pot, the air fryer?
Oh my God, the air fryer you're talking about?
Yeah, do you like to use those?
I just discovered them and I'm amazed. And I love them. Do you like them?
I love them.
Yeah, but this is very new. I got it last month, I think. And I love to do Brussels sprouts in there or butternut squash. And, you know, it really, it's just absolutely delicious. It's like caramelized almost when you're done. And even tofu, when I make a stir fry, before throwing my tofu, I put it in my air fryer first, and it gives it that, it doesn't disintegrate, you know, when you put it with all the vegetables.
Yep.
So here you're noticing I'm talking because I want this to be really, really hot. Again, I want this to repel whatever is going to be put on it. So I am going to make some nice patties. You see this?
Mm.
Isn't that beautiful? Look at that. And make sure that it's nice and hot. And it will look like a burger. It will taste, it will feel like a burger. And I just love that. And they're so dependable. You know, I have this recipe I have given to University of Massachusetts, the dining. I don't know if you know about them. They've over and over been the first in the nation of best dining food, and at Yale as well. And they use them for the kids, which I love, because feeding young starting students just makes me very happy, because my children are pretty about that age.
Here's a question from a live viewer. Would this recipe make good meatballs for serving with spaghetti?
That's a wonderful question. And unfortunately, I have to answer no, because unless, you know, now that I have my air fryer, because they do disintegrate in the sauce. So I don't use it as meatballs, but I love to use, you know, so it's not a meatball per se, but I love to use TVP, textured vegetable protein, as like a bolognese, you know, when you make that ground beef tomato sauce. I don't even use those. I use TVP that I rehydrate. But that's an excellent question. I wish I could say yes, but no, they disintegrate in the tomato sauce.
Interesting. So you have 5 kids. Did they grow up eating pretty healthfully?
Yes, they do. In fact, Natalia, who's filming, is one of my inspiration for making things vegan. She is completely vegan. The others are mostly vegan, and David is mostly vegan. The reason why he's not completely vegan is because I am cooking, and sometimes I need to have shrimp, or I need to have, you know, some fish, but otherwise, or a little cheese, but because I'm French, but otherwise he's completely vegan.
Wow. What birth order is Natalia?
Number 4. She's the one that was the reason why I came home and decided to just the number 4. It's too much. I can't do research. Let me just turn this down, because you know what's going to happen. My alarm is going to go off, because that always happened in all my videos at Cuisinicity. It's becoming, you know, one of those. Look how beautiful. One of those trademarks of mine. Something terrible not terrible, but something funny has to happen. I haven't yet banged my head or had the smoke detector go off, but can you see how beautifully they stay together, and how thick they are, and how they don't need even any oil. All you needed is just to have the grill nice and hot, and there you go.
That's incredible. It looks like a burger. I bet you fool people.
We're having those tonight. My in-laws are coming over tonight, and we're going to have those. And I'm going to make my whole wheat buns for them. Now, let me tell you the story about the whole wheat buns. Normally, I make soft wheat buns, to be honest. And I like soft wheat buns because they are a little bit more chewy. Instead of using whole wheat flour, I use whole wheat pastry flour, which is less dense. And I use a little extra virgin olive oil in them. And so they're very, very fluffy and delicious. And so today I'm making my whole wheat buns, completely whole wheat, for your audience. And also because they make, it's the same recipe, they make amazing pita. And I was going to take you outside on my terrace to show you how to make this pita. I'll show you the recipe, but to make it in a pita in my little pizza oven where they go, I mean, it's magical. Within 30 seconds, you put them there and you have the little thing that you use. I don't know what you call it. And they really just, they rise up and inside is a pocket and they're perfect. But today, because it's raining in Connecticut, I'm going to make them as buns in the oven. So if you would like whole wheat buns, would you like me to move on and show you that?
Absolutely.
Let me put these on a plate. But I think I love, again, like I was saying, a bean patty to me is not a burger. It's too thin, it's too mushy. This is nice and thick. And when you bite into it, it's a burger.
It's really hard, looks very hearty.
Thank you. Okay, so moving on to my, are you okay here?
What a beautiful home you have in your kitchen is
spectacular.
Thank you.
I love this kitchen. Really, it has lived with us. I mean, it lived with us, little by little, we've done more to it, but this has been the center of our home always, and everything is around this kitchen. So the first thing with any kind of bread, and I'm by no means a bread maker, but I know how to make some breads and they're just easy and wonderful. But the one trick, it's not a trick, it's just a given, that you must conquer is having a good yeast sponge, and so that it will rise. So the first thing you need to do, I put a half a cup of water, and I'm going to put it in the microwave. For about 30 seconds. And the reason it's important not to overheat the water is if you overheat it, you're going to kill the yeast and it won't rise. If it's too cold, it won't rise either. So it has to be about, a nice lukewarm. You have to kind of feel it out, but it's nice. You'll know right away, because if the yeast doesn't, by yeast sponge, it looks like a sponge, you'll see. Then either your yeast is not good or you just didn't do the temperature right, and you have to start over just the yeast before you get involved with the bread. So here it is. Here's that water. Let me feel it. Nice. It's hot, but not terribly hot. And in order to feed the yeast, you have to put a little bit of sugar. So I'm going to first, let me get very little bit of sugar, and literally it's just to feed the yeast. A half a teaspoon will do. So here's a quarter teaspoon and a little bit more, not even quite. And maybe I did it a little too hot. So we'll see. You'll see. It's good to show errors too. So 3 teaspoons of dry yeast, baking yeast. And we're going to see where it goes. It's going to take about 5 minutes for it to really get going. So let's see. We'll come back to it in a second. Wow. Yeah.
Can I ask you a question? In your bio, it says you're director of culinary cartography at Diet ID. Well, I've never heard that expression, culinary cartography.
Oh, because we have a startup business that my husband created, and we work together. The reason why you've never heard of it is because it's a dietary assessment tool that is so novel. You know how in order to assess somebody's nutritional what they eat, what their diet pattern is, how nutritious it is, you usually have to fill out food frequency questionnaires. And I don't know if you've ever done one, but they are, how many times did you eat chicken? How many times did you do this? And what kind of pasta do you use? What kind of manner? So it's, and for research, it's a problem because people don't want to fill out those food frequency questionnaires. Or there is something like, a diary where you have to write down everything you ate. This is completely engineered so that all you have to see is a pattern in an image of various dietary patterns that we've already analyzed. It's like when you go to an eye doctor, you look, in order to determine your eyesight, you look at two lenses, A or B. Which one is better, A or B, A or B? And after a few such comparisons, the ophthalmologist knows what is the good lens for you. There's nothing arbitrary about that lens. There's a lot of science behind that lens. Well, Diet ID, which is the startup that I am the culinary cartographer for, is that lens. Every image that we show of a variety of dishes at different quality levels are shown to a person, and they can see right away, yeah, do I eat like this? Yes or no? Is this more like what you eat? Yes or no? And after a few minutes, we know what your nutrition level is of your dietary pattern. And we have different ethnic cuisines, and we have a team of dietitians that is working with us. And what I do is create those images so that they speak to, so that they, I translate the science into a visual. And it's a map because you go from the bottom, the south, to the north. As you move up, the quality of your diet goes up and is better. And if you move from west to east, the quality of the diet for the environment is better because you move from meat-centric to plant-based. And it's an art. And so that's my title, Director of Culinary Cartography.
That's interesting. When I think of cartography, I think of a map.
That's what it is. It's a map. And that's what I'm telling you about the South and the North and the East. It is a map, but the map is done by what we call vignettes of, various dietary patterns, the vegan dietary pattern, the vegetarian, the Mexican, the South Asian, at each tier of quality. And it is mapped out. All the algorithm in the background has already been done. So when you pick a particular vignette, we know what it means. And we can, out of that one simple, what seems to be a simple decision on your part, we know what is your nutrition, how many vitamin, the kind of vitamin intake you have, fiber intake, and how you can improve. It's like the GPS for healthy eating. Come back to my yeast sponge. Look at this. Now that's what you want. A beautiful, bubbling, beautiful thing. So what I'm going to do, after you've assessed that, okay, you got a good yeast, it's working well, now you can proceed. I like to warm my water a little bit. That's not as important for the actual recipe. So it's 1 cup of water and 3 cups whole wheat flour. Now you notice everything in my kitchen is done so that I can do things as fast and as efficiently as I can. Because again, now the kids are mostly gone. But when they were little, it was like, and the dogs and the this and the fragmented day. So I needed to make sure everything was on hand and easy for me to access. So I always have my flours here. This is my baking corner. So 1, 2, and 3. 3 whole cups of whole wheat flour. I mean, this is ridiculously simple. 3/4 teaspoons of salt. 1, 2, and 3, which is not very much. And then that beautiful sponge. Ready? Make sure you get every little bit. Then you get one of those hooks and beat. When it forms a ball, we're done, basically. What I'm going to do is, while it's rising, I'm going to show you the crème au chocolat and even put this in the oven a little sooner than I want because I don't want to be here forever for your beautiful audience. You see how it's starting to come together and be a little faster. That's it. We did our breath. How long did it take me? Right? It's ridiculous. Let me just kind of reposition this so that it gets a little bit more. And one more time. So this bread, I'm going to, Nathan, if you will follow me, I had it all ready for me to do it at the outside, you know, with pizza, but it's just pizza oven, but it's just too rainy and not good. So I put a little bit of flour on it. I don't know if you can tell, this dough is just beautiful. I mean, it's just, it feels easy. It feels dense. It's more dense than my soft food buns. And I'm going to let it rise for a few minutes. Then I'll come back to it. While it's rising, here is the pièce de résistance, my crème au chocolat.
Yeah, I do know what that means. I know enough to know what pièce de résistance means.
Right, so. Right. I mean, forget the burgers, forget the chocolate dessert. I love this recipe because it really, typically, a crème au chocolat, if it is the way it's supposed to be and taste like, has heavy cream, eggs, sugar, and yes, dark chocolate. I have done away with the heavy cream, the eggs, and the sugar. I just kept the dark chocolate. So how did I do it? And it really had to satisfy, by now you know, my French foodiness, and it has. And this is my most popular recipe. This one just has taken off because it's that good. And the nutritious, I mean, it really exemplifies nutritious and delicious. So the first thing I'm going to do, yes, I actually, you notice that I said I got rid of the sugar. The only sugar that there is that is inside of the dark chocolate. I usually use 70%, so it's not that much, but that's the only extrinsic sugar, added sugar that there is. Everything else comes from the ingredients that I use, and I love to use medjool dates. Mm-hmm. So what I do is I just pit them, take out the pit, cut them up, and I'm going to put 2 tablespoons of water in there. And I'll tell you why. And I'm going to put it in the microwave for 30 seconds because these dates, you're not going to know they're there. You don't know, you won't taste them. They're just going to impart their sweetness. And so I want them to melt in there. So I'm going to put them in the microwave for about 30 seconds so that they are nice and mushy. And while I do that,
Catherine, if you don't mind, we have a question from Jerry with the pita or the buns. If somebody's gluten-free, could they use a different flour?
Now, I have been asked that, and I know that Bob's Red Mills makes a beautiful gluten-free flour that supposedly you can replace 1-for-1 with what you're using. And I have had no such luck. I have to say, I just haven't had the luck to have them come out. They've been dry. And so, no, I haven't. But having said that, there's some beautiful gluten-free pre-made buns that are out there that you can use. I haven't conquered that. And especially because in Cuisinicity, I really do want to use those whole grain, those whole flours, because we are lucky enough not to be gluten sensitive. But I appreciate his question. Unfortunately, it just hasn't worked for me. So let me get
all those books that you have that I just saw when you walked by, are those all cookbooks?
Yeah. Woo! I love cookbooks. You know, one of the things that I do, Israeli and Turkish and Mexican, every year for Christmas, we're Jewish, so we don't celebrate Christmas per se, but I love Christmas. I love the tree. I love everything about it, the feel. So years ago, I started a tradition. I didn't realize it would be a tradition. is that night, the night before Christmas Eve, I make a traditional culture, a cuisine from a different culture. And we dress up the whole, not the whole house, but the whole here in that culture. And we dress up like it. And, you know, one year we did Portugal and was a little Portugal seafood market. And we had fishnets over. And one year we had Italian night. And we took out the table and put little bistro tables with red checkered tablecloth. And there I had to inspire myself from others, you know, who have recipes of different cultures I didn't necessarily know, but I always try to do my little tricks, my cuisinicity trick to make it more nutritious. And over the years, we've done, I think it's been 17 years, so 17 cultures. And I've learned so much from doing that. I didn't do it to learn, but every year I learn a new tradition, a new spice, a new way of cooking something. And that's why this incredible collection of books.
Oh, do you have a favorite?
You know, I love Middle Eastern cooking. Right now, I volunteer this beautiful program called Sanctuary Kitchen. And it is a program for refugees from the Middle East and other regions who have reintegrated into American life through their beautiful cooking. And it's become a business for them. And I volunteer with them, and I cook in the kitchen with them. And it's the best place in the kitchen to really feel the friendships. You laugh as you're peeling the hot eggplant. And I've learned so much from them. Middle Eastern, I love. Turkish, I love, and French, I love, but not just any French, you know, because the French can be very, very rich. But I think our whole family's favorite culture was the French one. And it took me years to dare do that one, because it was like, I'm not going to do it justice. How can you do that? And it was superb. So French.
I don't know if you know this, but I was separated from my parents, and I grew up living with an aunt who was Swiss French, and her mother had a restaurant in Switzerland and went to the Cordon Bleu. So like all I had up until the age of like 11 was French food.
Oh my goodness. Wow, lucky you.
Yeah. And I mean, she made things like, I mean, I was like a little kid and I was eating leeks and I was eating, you know, tomate farci and nègres en chemise and, you know, fondue. And I mean, it was like literally eating at a restaurant every single night. And the interesting thing I wish she had written a book, but everything she just, you know, she'd go to like the store, the farmer's market, and all the ingredients were fresh, and she would just make stuff.
Exactly. You know, in many ways, I didn't begin to write the recipes, because when you're busy making recipes or making food, you're not thinking about writing it down. It's kind of a pain to do that. And it takes away from let me put a little of this and I put a little of that. But the scientist in me thought, if I need to, you know, communicate to others and for my recipes to be replicated the way that a data set needs to be replicated, you need to be very precise. But the best way to cook is just like your aunt. And my aunt is the same way. She loves to use fresh ingredients and she knows what to do with them. And I just admire that so much.
Right. I hate to be married to a recipe. I mean, unless I'm baking. Otherwise, I just like to.
Yes. Baking is so funny because my followers are lovely and they, and I did this and I did that and I love this recipe and I added this and I love it. Except when they do that for my baking and say, well, it didn't turn out like there's a reason why I put this here. And that baking is a lot less forgiving. So I was back to my medjool dates that are chopped and warm. And now the water that's in there made them even more mushy. So I'm going to put them in there. And I bet you, when I've made this demo before, and we were going to serve this to 700 people. And they hadn't gotten to dessert yet. And they're thinking, she is nuts. This is going to be disgusting. But then, of course, they tasted it and it was superb. So the dates, then I put some coconut milk. I don't love coconut. And it's not necessarily healthy. People think, there was a craze where people thought that coconut is better than anything. Coconut is okay. It's not bad. And I certainly didn't want the taste of coconut in this, but it does impart a beautiful creaminess. So here it's 6 ounces. I think, again, the recipe is on the website. It's not cream, it's the milk, the coconut milk. And of course, my beloved lentils. And this is where people are rolling their eyes and saying, oh, come on. But I promise you, they are humble. Like I said, you do not know they're there. You just do not know they're there. They really impart their creaminess, and mostly they impart the nutrition. The nutrition, the protein, the fiber, the minerals, the vitamins, just a beautiful thing. So I put them in there. And at this point, you're thinking, she's nuts. Tofu. Now, tofu was not my friend for a long time because I don't like the consistency of tofu. And I didn't used to know how to cook with tofu. Now I've learned. But here it's, again, you don't taste it. Mostly it's a chocolate creaminess you're going to taste. So I usually don't use an extra firm, but that's all I could find. So I hope it'll be the same. Plop, you heard, I put everything, the liquid, everything. And then, of course, the one ingredient everybody expects is my dark chocolate. 70% is what I like. You can use 60 if you prefer. But 70% is plenty sweet because I have my dates to make it sweet. And so it's a really relatively low sugar dessert. And when you give this to your children and you're giving them such nutrition and they love it and they ask for more, I know there's nothing that makes me happier. So now we just blend. I'm going to give it a nice little, you can already tell, a nice little stir so that, again, I don't want any sign of lentils or dates or any such thing. So I want it to be very, very creamy. Beautiful. So in the past, because there are different kinds of, oh my goodness, come show. Look at this. It's absolutely beautiful. And
it's so silken.
It's so silky. I'm going to show you what I do with it. There are 2 types of crème au chocolat. There's one that you bake. And when I was little, you would put in a little ramequin, like a little porcelain dish that you put in the oven. And then it's hot, and then there's a little crust on top, and you eat it, and it's delicious. But as I said, I presented this to a really large group at a restaurant. I forget, it was a big conference, and there were 700 guests. And we said, I don't want to bake it. That's such a big, and then it's not going to be pretty, yes, I want to do it in champagne glasses or such a thing. And because it's vegan and it's delicious as is, you don't even need to bake it. So since then, what I do now is I present it either in a beautiful flute or a martini glass, and it's just so presentable. Let me just show you. I normally I would do a little bit more, but it's okay. I just want to show you. So of course, I have to be a little bit more careful about how I would do this. Oh my God. Anyway, imagine I would clean this up and I would put a little raspberry on top, and how beautiful it is. Same thing here. This is going to be easier because, you know what? Let me do it a little bit more because it's not creamy enough. Beautiful. Now imagine this on a beautiful buffet table. Oh my God. No, I don't want to use this because I put, I'll use this. Isn't that beautiful?
It's gorgeous. It's show-stopping.
Thank you. And again, you can decorate it with raspberries. Some people do like coconut. They can do like a whipped coconut milk and just put it on top. And it's just elegant. It's delicious. And when you put it in the refrigerator, it also gives it, it becomes a little bit more compact. Not very much, but enough to give it this wow. And again, this has passed all my my finickiness, French foodie finickiness with flying colors, and I love it, and my followers also do.
And it was so easy to, easy to make. It didn't take
wasn't it?
time at all.
I mean, ridiculous. And I have a variation on that theme. If you know Nutella,
yes,
and people who love hazelnut, I make this with some very finely ground hazelnuts. And it is like a Nutella crème au chocolat. It's just, I would say to die for, except that it's so healthy. You won't die from it. But I don't want to forget. I did forget because I was having so much fun, my bread. So let me go back to it because it needs to bake for 12 minutes. And then you can ask me all sorts of questions during that time.
Because I have a few that I see in the chat. So whenever you have a chat.
We'll be able to catch up then. So I'm going to make this into 6, I think, something like this. And maybe I could even make more, but so again, I wish I could have shown you the pita when they come in the oven. They're just magical. They just rise and give that beautiful pocket. No, I don't like that. Let me just. But they will do as burger buns. Okay, let me get. And I preheated my oven about 400 degrees. And I'm just going to bake them in the oven. So you want them a little flattened because they're going to rise in the oven. And they're going to go in the oven for 12 minutes. And you can ask me questions while I'm doing that. This is
sure. Okay. The first question from Tina was, do you have a good latke recipe, especially one that isn't fried?
Oh my goodness, it's so funny because somebody wanted me to do a show in December, and I was going to show my latkes because they are vegan. You know, latkes usually have eggs in them. And because my Natalia loved latkes, but couldn't no longer have them because they had eggs, I created a latke that has, instead of the egg, I use aquafaba. You know what aquafaba is?
Absolutely, is the bean liquid.
Yes, it's from the garbanzo bean can, and you just use that, and a little semolina in there to give it that crunch. I don't fry them, but I do saute them. I mean, there is some olive oil. But having said that, now that I got my air fryer, I'm going to try them in the air fryer without any oil. So how about that? But I can't say that I know if it works, because I just got my air fryer and I just thought of it.
Nice. And Danielle wants to know, what are you making for the Katz family Thanksgiving?
Well, that one belongs to my mother-in-law, and we are just guests. So I just make the desserts. And oh my goodness, for that I make my pumpkin pie with a pecan crust. That one was featured in Oprah magazine years ago, but it's not vegan. You know, I've tried to recreate that one with vegan coconut. There's condensed sweetened milk, and I tried to recreate it, and it was not good. I'm
going to send you my pecan pie recipe that is vegan, and I'd love for you to try it.
Really, I would love that. Yep. And then, my galettes. You know, the galette is like a tart or a pie, but free form, more rustic, you know, so it's, you just put it, you don't put it in a pan, and you just, make a border by hand at the end. And I have to say, I used to think that you cannot make a tart that is buttery tasting without the butter. And I was really frustrated. Now, there is some oil in it because, again, Mediterranean, I do use some olive oil in there and white wine. And it's delicious. So that one I make, my strawberry galette, and different apple as well. So see, I like it about like this. Let it rise just a few minutes. I should do longer than that, but I talked too much earlier. And then we're going to put it in the oven. So what else do I make? Oh, I make my mocha bites. They're chocolate little, are those vegan? I'm forgetting. I make all the desserts, basically.
That's great. So Sherry wants to know, what is Dr. Katz's favorite thing that you make?
My vegan burger. Seriously. He is such a fan. He loves, I make pasta fagioli, with its beans and spinach and olives and mushroom in a marinara sauce over whole grain pasta. He loves that. But he is such a lover of this vegan burger. He tells everyone. What else does he love? Can you think of?
Pizza.
Oh, my pizza. Yes, my whole grain pizza in my beautiful oven. That one is so much fun because, again, surprise, surprise, I use black lentils. And there, I don't use them from a can because I want them to be a little al dente. And with mushrooms and olives and garlic. And you would swear it's like a sausage because it's so umami, tasty, lovely. So I make he loves that pizza. What else do I make?
Tagine.
What? My tagine. Oh, my tagine.
Oh, tagine, that would be amazing.
And so this is a Moroccan tagine that I used to make with chicken. And it's wonderful. It has all the right spices, turmeric and cinnamon and cumin and ginger. Does it have ginger, that one? Yeah. And green olives. And I thought, how am I going to create this without chicken? Well, I did. I just used two types of potatoes, the sweet potatoes and the Yukon potatoes. And it's delicious. It's on the website. It's Moroccan tagine.
You're just really so passionate about cooking. It's incredible.
I am. And, because it is so much about love, I can only do it for love. I love when my family comes over and we eat together and they love it and they truly feel happy and proud. That makes me happy. But, it's interesting. During COVID, it was difficult. And I found that I neglected cuisinicity and it made sense. If it is about love and I felt, sad and a little lost, I didn't have it in me. But now it's all back. So that's good. So
Natalia,
rise a little bit more.
Yes.
Can I ask you a question, Natalia?
Sure, that's okay.
Great. What was it like growing up with all this delicious food? And when did you decide to go vegan and why?
So it was amazing growing up with this food. It was always really inspiring to stay healthy and passionate and curious. And also just, we had such lovely time over the dinner table, because it was so colorful and engaging and positive. And then I learned a lot from my dad about the positivities of plant-based, but I learned more when I went to college. And the big shift, I went vegetarian first. And then when I went vegan was when I actually learned about land distribution and how going vegan was the biggest way that you can contribute your day-to-day life to, having a smaller carbon footprint, basically. And when I learned about just the amount of water that was used that would go into just 1 cup of milk, essentially, based on using the land and then feeding the cows and so forth, the elaborate process. So I went to this conference at Harvard. I went to school at Northeastern University, but I went to a conference at Harvard about land distribution and just learned about how really impactful it is to switch to a vegan diet and how plant-based can really make a huge difference in mitigating carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. So that became important to me. And I just learned more and more as I went along. And it's been really beautiful sharing that with my mom and learning how to create better recipes together from that as well. So
that's great. Well, thank you for going vegan. I love the reasons that people do that. That's fantastic.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, so what do you guys eat for breakfast in the Katz family home?
Well, we all eat different things. David always eats the same thing. I don't know how he does it. Actually, I do too, but he has. In fact, I can show you. You see these big jars of cereal? They're there always. There's whole grain cereal. He loves Nature's Path, multigrain, and heritage flakes. So there's a big, I mean, like not a bowl. I mean, we're talking a trough of that with berries, blackberries, raspberries, and blueberries, and raisins we have, and banana, and whatever fruit is in season. We have pears or apples. That's it. And he eats that around 11 or 12. So
With
really,
almond milk? With almond milk, right?
no, not even. He used to do yogurt, then he did no yogurt, then he did almond milk. He doesn't, because the juices of the fruit really makes it delicious. And he lives on that for breakfast. That's, wherever he is. And if not, if we go to a restaurant, we were just in California, he has a big bowl of oatmeal with lots of berries. I love to vary a little bit, but I love my smoothie in the morning. It's with banana, almond milk, peanut butter, unsweetened and salted, and frozen mango. And if I have more time, and I know that I'm not going to be able to eat, I'm going to have a long day. I make, of course, a milkshake, a smoothie with my lentils with cocoa. It's called cocoa almond shake or something. And it's that I used to give to my children. It felt so good to be able to get them started with oats, lentils, almond milk, banana, some cocoa. And here they were, off to school with a full belly, or oatmeal, always, steel cut oats. Natalia, what do you eat?
Usually either a smoothie or oatmeal.
Yeah. That's basically what we have for breakfast. But don't get me wrong, from time to time, especially when I'm in France, I will have a croissant, because, you cannot recreate a croissant. I've never been able to recreate a croissant. Not that would be healthy, at least.
That's so interesting. Well, it seems like behind every wonderful plant-based doctor, there's someone like you that makes the food.
David is quite a good cook, but first of all, he is very, very busy. And what he makes so much with joy and whatever ingredients there is that, it's hard to replicate. And it's too complicated for me. I like very simple, not that I don't love eating it, but it's too complicated to recreate. And I love a recipe that has just 3 or 4 ingredients that you can just say, you go get this, you go get that, and you can make it, and it's there on the table for you. Thank you for the, the compliment.
I Googled vegan croissant. Apparently it is a thing. I just don't know exactly where to get it, but it does exist. Yeah.
And it's good?
I haven't tasted it, but I Googled it, and apparently there's some recipes and it does exist. So
yeah, but the fact that there's a recipe doesn't mean that it's delicious. I have to say, it's like the burgers. Oh yeah, vegan burgers. And it was like a bean patty. So I have to, you know what, I'm going to watch. When did I put this in? About 3-4 minutes ago?
Yeah.
So another 5-8 minutes.
5 minutes.
Yeah. Are there any other questions I can ask?
Yeah. Is anybody following in the family footsteps, either becoming a chef or a doctor?
Not a doctor and not a chef per se, but health and eating well and cooking is very much part of every one of them. And I'm proud to say that. Every one of them, Corinda, Rebecca, Valerie, you, Gabe, Savannah.
Well, I did watch some of your videos, and there was a beautiful daughter of yours making like healthy Rice Krispie treats.
Oh yes, Valerie was making that. Those are my Katz Flax crisps. Years ago, my husband and I taught a summer camp for finicky kid eaters. And it was a challenge because they were, I don't like this and I don't like that. And I thought, oh my God, really? I have to teach them. And they loved the food. And one of the things that we did together, children love to participate in making things. And I think Natalia and Valérie were very young. They were 4 and 5, I think. But Katz Flax Crisps is the equivalent of, those, what are they called? Rice Krispies, those marshmallow goo that has absolutely nothing good in them. The Rice Krispies have no, they're just rice, puffed rice, no particular value. There was hydrogenated oil in them. There was marshmallow, lots of sugar. So I created Katz Flax Crisps. We decided that would be their names. And it's, there is whole brown rice, puffed rice, unsalted and unsweetened, unsweetened natural peanut butter, honey, and ground flax meal. And you do this, you don't cook them, you just put them together and you put them in the refrigerator. And they make these wonderful little squares that kids love, and they are so much healthier and nutritious for them.
And Valerie is pursuing a career as a wellness coach.
Yes. So let me say yes. Yeah. Yes, Valerie is a wellness coach, and it's more about lifestyle as medicine, not just a food, but food being part of it. And she is a wonderful cook as well. But lifestyle as medicine, meditating, mediating stress management, good sleep, good community relationships, all the good stuff.
Right. Well, wasn't Dr. David Katz one of the original founders of the American College of Lifestyle Medicine?
No, he wasn't a founder. He was president at one year at a time when it was really in peril, and he gave it a boost, and it's really thriving. He's not the only reason why it's thriving, but he was really instrumental in that. Yeah.
That's great. Well, you are just something. You're really an incredible cook, chef, and just your passion for healthy food is just contagious.
Oh, thank you. I hope my buns will show that I deserve that.
I mean, your kitchen is just unbelievable. I mean, that is just like to die for.
I love this kitchen because if you look around, you can show a little bit. There is the dining room there where, we gather, and that's it for the dinners. And right where I was doing the crème au chocolat is our breakfast, table where we, eat, or the kids would eat at, they would do their homework and have a snack. And here is the entrance to our house, so that when the kids would come home from school, if I was working in the kitchen, I could see them come in. And here we opened it up for our living room. So everything, the kitchen is really central to our whole, our way of living. And it's just a welcoming when you come home. Every one of the kids, I created a welcome home banana bread when they were coming home from college. And the house would always smell of banana bread when they came home. And it was not until Natalia decided to be vegan. I thought, wow, my God, how am I going to do this? I can't make a banana bread that's not vegan for Natalia. And so I created a vegan banana bread. Not only is it vegan, but it has no added sugar. And now that's the one that I welcome them home with, my vegan banana date bread. And we open the door for them.
Is that recipe on your Cuisinicity site?
Yes, it's called banana date bread. Vegan banana date bread.
Oh boy, you've got a dog too. That's great.
We have 2 dogs. We used to have 3 dogs at all times. But we have 2 dogs, and that's, again, Cuisinicity is about cuisine and simplicity. And simplicity, I mean, not just the authenticity and the simpleness of the ingredients, which is important. Pure food, authentic food, but the simplicity of having to put it together, because we did have 3 dogs, we did have 5 kids, we did have fragmented schedules where you start something and you have to go. And so I always wanted to let people know, if I can do it, you can do it. And of course, I am so privileged and lucky to have such a beautiful kitchen, but my ingredients and the way to do it is never complicated.
Yeah, I love it. Well, that's amazing. Are your buns ready yet?
I think I looked at them, but I think they're basically ready. There's the dog.
I love dogs. How do you serve your burgers? Do you put condiments? Maybe.
Yes, I think I need a little bit longer, but look, I mean, they're beautiful, but I think they just need a couple more minutes.
That's incredible.
Yes.
Make your own bread. Wow.
Yes, so I serve it with Dijon mustard, sometimes salsa, sometimes even ketchup, if you want the ketchup feel. I make a beautiful barbecue sauce that is much better than the salty, sweet ones that are out there in the industry. And avocado. In fact, tonight we're gonna have burgers. So avocado, red onion, tomato, lettuce, and there you have it. I mean, it's a fun dinner to have, because these you can just make ahead if you want and just throw them at the last minute on your. In fact, I made them for you, so it'll be for my family tonight on the pan. So it's good.
Wow. Well, thank you. You're just such a terrific guest. So inspiring.
I am so honored to have been part of your show.
You know what I want to ask you is, do you enjoy balsamic vinegar?
What? Excuse me?
You like balsamic vinegar?
I do.
Good, because you're going to get 2 free bottles for being on the show. So you'll get to choose whatever flavors you like.
Oh, thank you. That's lovely. Yes, I love balsamic vinegar.
Oh, good. Well, this has just been such a treat. Those burgers are so mouthwatering.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We'll enjoy them tonight and we'll drink to you.
Oh, well, thank you so much, Catherine. And thank you, Natalia, for being the camera person and for going vegan.
My pleasure.
Okay, well, we'd love to have you guys back. Any of the Katzes are welcome anytime.
Oh,
The cats and the dogs.
Right.
Either way. All right. Thank you so much. Enchantée de faire votre connaissance. And thank you all for watching another episode. Please come back at 2 p.m. when we'll have another wonderful cooking demo from Nick from Local Spicery. What are your favorite spices, Catherine? Do you have favorite? Yeah.
Oh, yes, I do. Cumin, turmeric. I can't live without turmeric, both for not so much the flavor, but I love the color that it gives to a dish. Curry, cinnamon, and paprika. I love paprika too, but I would say cumin is my favorite. Coriander, but cumin and turmeric, if I had to pick 2.
Oh, good to know. Well, great. It's so great getting to know you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.